Most indoor plants don't actually die because you forgot about them. Often, they fade away because you paid too much attention to them. When you see a brown tip, a droopy stem, or a burst of new leaves, you're looking at a direct form of communication. Your plant is reacting to its environment. The issue is that we tend to treat every pot exactly the same. We take a cactus that evolved in a dry desert and a fern that needs a humid forest, and we place them right next to each other, expecting both to thrive. To keep your collection healthy, we need to drop the strict watering schedules. Instead, we'll learn to read what each individual plant is asking for. Step 1 is fixing how we water. Watering on a set routine is the most common way plants end up damaged, because they simply don't drink on a weekly calendar. The soil itself will tell you when it's ready. Push your finger about an inch into the topsoil. If it feels moist, wait. Only move forward when that top layer is completely dry. When you do water, you need to water deeply. That means saturating the soil until excess liquid physically drains out of the holes in the bottom of the pot. When you only wet the top few inches, you train roots to stay near the surface, leaving the structure weak. But when water flushes completely through the pot, the root system extends deep to the bottom, growing thicker and firmly anchoring the plant. Deep watering acts as a training tool for the plant's biology, building a resilient root system that maintains health long after the soil surface dries out. Next, we have to look at light. Plants require the specific type of light they evolved for, which means putting a shade-loving tropical in direct sun will cause stress, no matter how bright the room is. If a plant isn't getting enough light, stems stretch out, becoming pale and leggy trying to reach a window. On the other end, if you see faded, scorched, or burnt patches right in the middle of the leaves, the plant is getting too much direct exposure and needs to be pulled back into the shade. For plants that are leaning heavily in one direction, give the pot a quarter turn every week. This balances out the solar exposure and keeps the growth even. A plant's physical shape is a readable map of its light environment. By watching how it grows, you can adjust its position well before any permanent damage happens. There are two environmental factors that frequently go unnoticed indoors: stagnant air and low humidity. When leaves develop brown, crispy edges, caretakers usually assume the soil is dry and reach for the watering can, but the actual cause is often the air itself. Indoor heating systems pull moisture directly out of the room, creating a desert-like atmosphere that tropical foliage struggles to survive in. You can fix this by recreating a humid microclimate. Group several plants together, place a pebble tray nearby, and occasionally crack a window so fresh air can circulate. Healing crispy leaves requires a shift in focus from the soil to the atmosphere, prioritizing ambient humidity over additional watering. Once you have the immediate environment stabilized, you need to account for the calendar. Plant care operates on a seasonal cycle, not a flat year-round baseline. In spring and summer, the plant is actively expanding, requiring more frequent watering and liquid fertilizer to fuel new growth. But as the year moves into autumn and winter, growth slows to a halt, requiring only a fraction of the water. If you continue to apply fertilizer during this winter rest period, the excess nutrients will burn the dormant root system. Effective care requires adapting your routine to match these natural biological rhythms, rather than forcing the plant to process a constant supply of water and food. All of these adjustments come down to one daily habit: observation. Take just 10 seconds a day to look at the leaves and feel the soil, without pouring any water or adding any food. This brief pause builds your pattern recognition. You will start to notice a slight droop or a yellowing leaf early enough to correct the environment before it becomes a fatal crisis. If you have struggled with indoor gardening in the past, you were never bad with plants. You simply lacked the correct perspective on how to read their signals. Now that you know what to look for, you'll probably enjoy our next video on creating the perfect indoor setup for any space. Consider subscribing for more practical guides. Consistent observation and seasonal adjustments turn plant care into an intuitive process, resulting in a vibrant, flourishing indoor garden.